We begin by lighting our candle to remember God's light is with us, wherever we are. Filled with the Holy Spirit, Jesus went out among the people to give them new life and new hope, to heal the sick, to raise the dead to new life, to bring good news to the poor, and to teach and show about God's kingdom. Listen, he said, God is like a shepherd looking for a lost sheep. God is like a woman looking for a lost coin. God is like a father waiting for his child to come home. God's love is always enough and more than enough. And his disciples, his friends and helpers, went with him to share his work and his life. They travelled from town to town and from city to city. As they were travelling away from the crowds, Jesus spoke with his disciples. He told them, "The Son of Man will need to suffer and be killed and die and rise again." But they didn't understand what he was saying, and they travelled on. And as they came to another town, Jesus asked his disciples, "What were you talking about on the journey?" And the disciples didn't want to answer him because the truth was they had been arguing. They had been arguing about which one of them was the most important, which one was the greatest. Maybe James and John said that they were the most important because they had been following Jesus for the longest time. Maybe Matthew said he was the most important because he'd had a really important job before he left to follow Jesus. But they had been arguing about who was the most important. And Jesus said to his friends, his disciples, his helpers, "Listen, whoever wants to be greatest in my kingdom must be the last, the least, the servant and helper of all." And then he brought a small child from the crowd, and he gathered the child in his arms and placed the child in the midst of the crowd. And he said, "Whoever welcomes a little child like this welcomes me, and whoever welcomes me welcomes the one who sent me." And the disciples listened and wondered, and the crowd listened and wondered, and the child listened and wondered. And now we're going to wonder too. And if you want to pause the video to wonder with the people that you're with, you can do that. I wonder what your favourite part of this story was. I wonder what the most important part of this story was. I wonder why Jesus chose a child to show what it's like to be the greatest in his kingdom. I wonder what it felt like to be that child. I wonder what the disciples felt and thought when he did that. I wonder what the crowd felt and thought when he did that. I wonder what Jesus meant when he said, "To be the greatest or the first, you need to be the least or the last." I wonder what Jesus' friends felt and thought when he told them he was going to suffer and die and rise again. I wonder why he told them that. I wonder where you are in this story. I wonder if you have any questions or thoughts or ideas about this story. I wonder if you have anything in your house that you would like to use to make something or play with this story. And we can keep wondering throughout the week, but for now, our story is finished.